Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? I was having a few glitches myself this morning, but hopefully things will come through. Let me see. Let me try and share my screen. Okay. Can everyone see this slide right here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Let me just get rid of this. Okay. Okay. So today I really want to talk about something that is passionate to me, and it is self-care. So I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and feelings and experiences about what I consider to be the secrets of self-care. Just some key differences for mental health. And my slides won't progress. There we go. So today, we live in a world where we are constantly obsessed with needing to be noticed, whether that is on social media, in the workplace, in your personal life. I myself, I'm an introvert. So this is something that's a little bit hard for me to get used to on a day-to-day basis. I am perfectly happy with sitting in the corner and keeping to myself. I'm definitely love to observe things, but I don't always need to be noticed. But there's, if you look at the way the world has progressed, if you are not actually saying, hey, look at me, or shine a spotlight on me, a lot of times you're passed by or passed over, and people really don't understand what you have to offer. And a lot of times you can internalize all the things that are going on in your life. So think about things like, what if we recharged ourselves as often as we recharged our phones? I know that myself, I live and die on my computer. It is always plugged in, and my phone is always plugged in. I know a lot of people, they get anxiety when their phone starts to drop, when they see that number getting down to zero. And if you think about life, and self-care is something that we do maybe on a daily basis, giving ourselves those checks, that um, how beneficial that would be on the day to day. So just want to say welcome. I do want to thank everybody for being here. I know it's a Saturday and our time is precious, but I did want to express that I am very grateful to be able to share my thoughts with everybody, and just a bit about who I am. This is actually me doing one of my self-care moments, but I just wanted to dive a little bit into my experiences. So I looking at the world, there are definitely stressful jobs, and some of the most top stressful jobs probably doesn't come to a surprise for anybody, that are careers in the public safety sector. So things like military personnel, being a firefighter. I have a few firefighter friends, and I know that can be very stressful and very physical. An airline pilot, we know today that there is a shortage of pilots, and people time out. They can only do things for so long. The police, whether you have somebody who is an officer that it's that something, again, it's very stressful. But this is what my job looks like. It could be moments like this. It could be moments like this, or even moments like this, surprisingly. This is very beautiful, but at the same time, this can be very stressful. And I have clients that can go looking like this to looking like this in a matter of seconds. It can go to this. And kind of what Ariel had said, believe it or not, I am a wedding and event planner, which has been constantly ranked in the past 12 years as one of the 10 most stressful jobs in the US, believe it or not. A lot of times people focus on the beauty and the outside, but they really don't understand um, the time that it takes and the logistics and all the outside influences that affect our lives. And I have to deal with a lot of those things as a wedding and event planner. So people kind of call me the mental health mastermind. I might not have been professionally trained to be a mental health counselor and advisor, but it's definitely something that the more you do this job, I've been an event planner for over 30 years, the more you learn how to deal with different types of personalities, how people are living in their world, things that are affecting them, things that affect you on your daily life. So things that I'm in charge of is, the pressure for perfection. We know that so many people say, I want this to be a perfect day, but we know that perfection is something that really is not obtainable. Controlling the uncontrollable. Actually, I think it's kind of interesting because over the past 30 years, I've only had one wedding day where it has rained. And we all know that so many couples focus on the weather. And I tell them that I can control so many things. I have so many um, contacts in my phone, but Mother Nature is not one of them. So I really find it a blessing to have something as far as to say that out of 30 years, it's only rained once. And one of those reasons that I believe in it is that, one of my tools for dealing with high stress and anxiety is to not focus on those things. It's something that I cannot control. I said, if we focus on it, we will manifest the rain. So I really encourage my clients to just let it go and let God handle it. Um, we are always striving to achieve unachievable results, whether it be budgetary, whether it be emotions from other people, and optimizing communication and managing those unrealistic expectations. Um, a lot of times I'm not just working with my couples, I'm working with their families, I'm working with their parents, I'm working with grandparents. And to have that pressure to create an engaging environment that lasts only hours but is remembered a lifetime is something that everybody is focusing on. Everybody is talking about this once in a lifetime event, especially when it comes to a wedding. Corporate events sometimes is a little bit easier because whatever mistakes that are made or whatever obstacles you run into, you can always turn and correct those the next year. But when it comes to a wedding, that is something that is seeing it lasts only a mere few hours, but for the rest of the lives they'll be talking about that day. This is one of my favorite, necessarily a quote, but when you think about it, you will never die from a snake bite. It's not the bite that kills you, it's the venom that flows through your veins. So you really need to think about what you're taking in, what is affecting you, and how that interacts with your lifestyle and how that interacts with your day to day being. A lot of times I do things like control what music I listen to, what podcasts I'm listening to, what books I'm listening to, because despite your best efforts to block out some negativity, all those things, all those feelings are flowing through your veins in your body on a day to day basis. So I'll dive a little bit into what exactly is self care. When most people think about self care, they think about Netflix, binging, and a glass of wine. But like I said, it's as much about your thoughts as it is about your behaviors. And it isn't always about doing something in solidarity. A lot of times people think self care is something that you do alone, but you might feel that taking care of yourself and self care is something that can be social, even for someone like myself, who I said is a self proclaimed and loving introvert. So, again, when we think about self care, we think about the physical. We think about things that happen on the outside and not necessarily what's happening on the inside. What type of feelings and thoughts are coursing through our veins? So there are actually, I'll just break it down to maybe 5 different types of self care. There probably are a few more, but I'll focus on just the main 5. So first, we have the physical. So again, like I said, the most popular mantra is just about treating yourself. Thinking about exercise, thinking about massages, skincare. I love going to the spa and getting a facial, bubble baths, all those kinds of things. But when you really need to break down other things that are affecting your life, you need to think about the emotional. And sometimes the things that you need are to do things like cry. I know everybody sometimes needs a good cry, whether it's alone or with a friend. Trauma healing. I know that everyone experiences trauma in life, whether it's in your childhood or as an adult. Um, Learning on your inner child work. I myself have been a foster parent, so I helped my foster daughter really work with some of those things that brought her to that point and working on her inner child. And now I am very happy and proud to say that she is a 30-year-old adult who just got engaged. So, really working on yourself and figuring out what type of emotions you're dealing with. There's also psychological types of self care, learning about your triggers. I know a lot of people might have food triggers, they might have triggers that have to do with social media, they might have triggers that have to do with beauty. Learning how to purge some of that negativity and letting go attachments, whether they be physical attachments to people, places, or things. Spiritual is another type of self care, talking about or doing meditation, being alone with yourself and your thoughts, nourishing your body. As Heather mentioned, a lot of times it's dietary. It could be things that making sure you're hydrated. I saying we all love a glass of wine or to indulge ourselves maybe with, something sweet or a milkshake, but making sure you have that balance in your life to make sure that you have the things that you need. And professional. We all have, even if you are retired, you still have those professional relationships. So sometimes dealing with difficult situations and setting boundaries and making sure you get proper rest. A lot of people are definitely on the burning the wick at both ends and go, but really not thinking about sitting down and getting the proper rest, sleep, or things that kind of really help you take care of those internal feelings. So now that I've dove a little bit into the 5 types of self care, I'm going to hopefully turn some of this ignorance into education. If you weren't as aware as those different types, here are some questions you can ask yourself, or you can ask people that you're working with to help them really dive into what's bothering them so then they get the best out of life. So, the key differences with self care, the physical versus the emotional, is the physical, the centerpiece of that is looking at the promotion of health and well being. And the emotional is centered around your emotional needs and making sure those are met and protected at all times. So I have here just a picture of a actual spa or a resort that I was invited to in the Maldives. And that I think will take care of mostly the physical. But at the bottom, you see that there's somebody that's really engaging and maybe going out with a friend to have a conversation to really let loose and just dive into what is bothering them, or maybe just sharing. You don't always have to really talk about your feelings. It's just connecting and engaging with somebody else might be exactly what you're looking for. So the next time you're feeling down or you might need a recharge, you should ask yourself, where do I feel deprived? What do you want right now? And maybe something triggered you that is causing you to feel resentful, and why. Something I heard that I really love is that if you take an orange and squeeze it hard, what do you get out? 100% of the time, you will get out orange juice, not apple juice, not grapefruit juice, not pineapple juice, not mango. But then ask yourself why. You're going to say, Veronica, of course, you're going to get orange juice because that's what's inside. So if someone squeezes you and they say something you don't like, or something that there's a behavior towards you that you find offensive, what comes out of you? Is it anger? Is it hatred? Is it bitterness? And you have to think that's it's not what they've said, it's not what they've done. That's what's inside. So you really have to think about what is going on in your inner thoughts and feelings, because you can change what's inside. So when someone triggers you and when someone says something you don't like, you really have to do a deep dive into why you responded that way. Also ask yourself, what are you yearning for? What do you need more of or less of? Really have those conversations with yourself, hopefully in a quiet place. And what are you starving for? Or what do you need less? Excuse me, what do you need less of? So sometimes social media, as I said, is something that can be very triggering. And we do a lot of comparisons to ourselves with everything else that's going on. I know myself, even as a professional, I look at other of my colleagues' events and think about, how they've done it compared to my own work. And sometimes we need less of that, or sometimes I use that as inspiration to better myself. As I said, I am definitely an introvert. So I believe that the gentle outlasts the strong and the obscure always outlasts the obvious. So it's not always about being out there all the time. It's about really internalizing and thinking about your needs. So when searching for your self care solutions, I think you should be specific in identifying what you're lacking and what you're needing. Dig deep. I'm always saying to people, dig deep and don't worry about going too far, because a lot of times you're hitting on things and ideas that you've never thought about before. And research shows that self care enhances your day to day actions and your overall health. And your mental freedom and removing these nagging to do lists. I know a lot of people love to do lists. It's something that I actually loathe, because I feel that a lot of times puts some pressures on you to kind of think about all the things you need to do instead of worrying about yourself. So, just to do a quick mind check and to think about the way you look at things, because then the things that you look at will change. So, kind of giving that bigger picture and really considering the who, the what, the why, the when, and definitely think that you will have a better life and better outcomes and be a happier person. So this is just some information about me to get in touch. I know that we're going to have a Q&A, but if you want to jot it down, I do event planning in Washington, D.C. And I also do virtual planning, which I call sometimes like virtual mental health. But here's some information. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Veronica. That was so amazing. I learned a lot about self-care just now.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, Veronica Cole, Creative Director by Veronica Cole. Okay, everyone, do we have any questions for these first two speakers, or any comments, any nuggets that you learned that you want to share with everybody else that really helped you? You can put it in the chat or you can unmute yourself.
So far, we have Joy, who said that was great. So yes, that was really, really great. And just comments of telling her how great she did and how wonderful she is so far. No questions. So I will be managing the chat. If you have any questions.
Okay, so we're gonna have a small break. We're gonna run some advertisements in this break of our speakers. Take a second to just grab a snack, use the restroom, take time for yourself, and we'll be back very shortly.